Hello and welcome to NJ.com's live chat with TV writer Vicki Hyman. Today we'll be talking about Whitney, the upcoming Lifetime biopic of Whitney Houston and the new sci-fi series 12 Monkeys. Vicki, say hi to everyone.
Hey everybody.
All right, Vic, we've spoken at length about this for the past couple days. I watched the entire Whitney film yesterday, and as you know, and everyone around the world, on February 11th, we're coming up on the third anniversary of Whitney Houston's death. So, I think the film was more than apropos to be airing now. Okay, before we get into what you thought, I really just have to say that even with the respectable job by the two leads, the movie just had this subpar production quality, soap operatic.
You mean the
acting.
Lifetime movie quality?
Yeah, well, come on, the stale acting in all these supporting roles, a thin script, a monumental lack of conviction. Vicki, do you agree?
As a person who has watched a number of these Lifetime movies, it was actually not bad for a Lifetime movie. I'm really comparing it to the last Lifetime movie I saw, which was the Brittany Murphy biopic, Another Jersey Girl,
right.
Which was so incredibly dreadful, bad acting, bad costuming, bad everything. And so I actually was, I wasn't horrified by it like I kind of was with the Brittany Murphy movie. But, is it deserving of Whitney's legacy? I don't really think so. I don't know if this particular story that they decided to tell was particularly worthy of her legacy. I don't know why they decided to tell these specific 5 years of her life. It just seems kind of random.
I'm going to cut you off. I mean, because you mentioned the Liz and Dick movie. You mentioned, right, the Brittany Murphy film. We were just talking a little while ago about the Saved by the Bell film. I happened to catch a little bit of that. That was very cheese-tastic. Now, this movie, where does it fall into place within all of those? I mean, I know they're all Lifetime, and I know they're all biopics to a certain degree, but is this going to be like their benchmark?
I don't know. I think when you talk about the Saved by the Bell and the Liz and Dick, which was actually Lindsay Lohan's comeback, there you see those quotes. I think there was an element of like social watching and like tweeting obnoxious things about it. And I don't really think that when they did this movie they want that to happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think there's enough bad stuff going on to engage in that manner. So yay.
Well, all right. For me, I really do feel that this was just a really missed opportunity. Whitney Houston, I think, deserved the big screen treatment, a la Ray Charles, Johnny Cash, Jim Morrison, James Brown. If anything, what do you think? An HBO film, right?
We were discussing this the other day about Whitney's life and times. I don't know if her life and times are as interesting as, say, the late 60s with Jim Morrison, and we have a Jimi Hendrix biopic coming up. So it wouldn't have that. The way they describe the romance between Bobby Brown and Whitney in this particular movie, because that's what this movie focuses on, the beginning and the sort of like the early part of their romance. I think they wanted to feel like Romeo and Juliet, this epic romance, and I don't know if they had that. I don't know if they could write a script that could be like that. Didn't seem like that's how it was. It was kind of they're both celebrities, but it was kind of mundane, if you ask me, how it was portrayed, and I don't know, maybe that's how it really was. I have no idea.
Well, I mean, the Houston estate can't be happy with the movie, correct?
No, I
mean, the family objected to it because it focused on a small and troubled part of her life and about a situation where the writers, you think, couldn't really truly know much about. I mean, were they right to be worried?
Well, I mean, I think they were just... they didn't say this, but I mean, the idea of having a Lifetime movie about you is not generally thought of as a good thing for the subject. I don't think that if they were to watch it, they wouldn't be horrified by it. I don't think it does not. I think they were worried about that her drug use was going to be front and center, and she definitely is shown using cocaine in this movie, but she's not like strung out drug addict. All the stuff that happened later, where you had the National Enquirer pictures of her bathroom after she's done one of these drug binges, the crack is whack interview, the like really sort of humiliating stuff that brought Whitney down into the tabloid gutter. That stuff isn't even in this movie.
Right.
It like you see sort of a glimpse of it at the end, and that's it. So.
Well, I mean, even with the train wrecky parts of the film. I mean, do you think Yaya DaCosta did her best to evoke,
Yes,
pop
absolutely.
princess?
I think she actually did a really great job. And again, to compare it to some of the other stars they've had that have been just horribly cast, didn't look anything like the subject matter. I think she looks like Whitney. To me, I didn't know her personally. Obviously, she feels like Whitney. She has this confidence. She has this sort of like good humor, teasing quality about her. And even though she didn't actually do any of the singing in the movie, Whitney Houston didn't do any of the singing in the movie either. The production couldn't get the rights from the family. I really liked the musical numbers because the woman who sings it, Deborah Cox, is using most of Whitney's phrasings, the way she sang the songs. Her tone's a little bit different, but she's got a wonderful voice. And when I was watching the musical scenes, I was really kind of getting into it. I kind of like look forward to those.
Well, yeah, that's what you told me yesterday. I felt that the musical interludes went on way too long. They shot like music videos for every single one of these songs.
I think there were only 4 or 5.
4 or 5, add them up, 4 or 5 at 5 minutes each, or 4 minutes each. That's a big chunk.
What else I was watching?
That's a big chunk of the movie, not to mention love scenes after love scene after love scene. They went on.
Yeah, there were like 3 love scenes. They were pretty racy, I have to say. I mean, I was a little shocked by that.
I mean, right. So there's a lot of filler here. But let's talk about Bobby Brown. I mean, he came up smelling like roses a little bit, right?
Yeah, I wonder how much participation that he had with the production, because he did agree to do an interview with Sean Robinson on Lifetime after on Saturday night after the movie is over. Yeah, he comes across as very sympathetic. It actually is interesting because a lot of people blamed Bobby Brown for all of Whitney Houston's troubles, and her mother, I think, said in her memoir last year, and her friends have said that actually Whitney was using before she met Bobby Brown, and that's what the movie shows. It actually shows Bobby being more of a straight edge than Whitney was. Whitney's like doing like a fair amount of cocaine, doesn't seem to be affecting her negatively at this point, and then Bobby eventually starts doing the heavier stuff too, as a reaction to sort of being Mr. Whitney Houston. Right. He's chafing under that role.
Well, I mean, the movie, for anyone who doesn't know, was directed by Angela Bassett, who many remember snagged an Oscar nomination in 1994 for her portrayal of Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It? Another biopic, that one theatrically released. Now, when I heard that she was directing this, part of me was relieved because she already was on that terrain. She knew the drill, so to speak. Did she drop the ball?
I just don't think she had much to work with. I don't think the story was there. I don't know why she agreed to do this, quite frankly, because if you're an A-list actress, you've got Oscar nominations, you want to like move your career ahead, you want to move into directing, I don't know why you would start with a Lifetime movie unless that's the only opportunity she had.
Right. Well, so is anybody going to watch this?
Oh, yeah. Everybody watches Lifetime movies.
Okay. All right. Well, switching gears.
You would too if you hadn't watched it.
Sure, I would have. Switching gears, Sci-Fi Network is embarking on a new and ambitious TV series, 12 Monkeys. It's premiering tonight at 9, and it's based on the 1995 Terry Gilliam film of the same name. Now, Vicki, is this a straight remake, or do they go into another direction here?
Well, yeah, they go into a bit of another direction. The original was a Terry Gilliam movie. It was extremely stylish. It was very discombobulating. This movie is similar. It's got a similar premise, but it does go in another direction. It has to go in another direction because, they've at least got to stretch it out. I think the prime directive, which I mentioned in my review, which posted earlier today, is that a guy from the future, this dystopian future where this plague had been released and had killed, most of the world's population, has to go back in time and stop the plague. There are in the movie, I don't want to get too much into the movie, but Brad Pitt plays a member of a supposed terrorist organization that may be behind it. The movie reminds you it actually wasn't the case. His army, the 12 Monkeys, were not the ones who released the plague. Somebody else did. Right. But apparently this remake is going to focus more on the army of the 12 Monkeys is going to have a different direction. Is going to focus more on them. And they actually have a woman in the Brad Pitt role.
Okay. Well, how does the show compare stylistically with Gilliam's version? I mean, Terry Gilliam. It's cable. I mean, they don't have the budget to do what Terry Gilliam has. They don't. It looks like sort of like your standard dystopian
cable movie, which I happen to love, so I didn't mind it at all. I think that if you can sort of accept it for what it is, if you like time travel, you like dystopia, you like adventure series, then you'll probably like this too. If you come, I don't think it's going to ruin the movie for you.
Right.
It's not disrespectful to the movie. I think the movie sort of lives on it. That's what it was, and this is what this is.
Well, how does it compare to other TV to film adaptations like Buffy or Nikita, to a lesser extent because they're prequels, the Bates Motel, Hannibal? Where does this kind of...
Well, Bates Motel and Hannibal's, they're prequels, and so you're not dealing with, what happened in the movies, what happened in the books. You're sort of like creating your own stories, and I think as so long as you eventually know you will lead up to, what Norman Bates did in that motel in, 30 years or whatever, you're fine. Buffy, of course, is one of my favorite movies, favorite TV shows of all time. The movie was not that good, and, Joss Whedon, who wrote the movie, wanted to create the vision that he for the movie on television. He was able to do that and subvert a bunch of suppositions that people have about action movies about perky blonde girls, and it was wonderful. I think Buffy's a very, very special property. I don't think this is going to do what Buffy did, which is just sort of break a lot of new ground on television. This one is like, it's a fun science fiction adventure movie.
Well, I mean, in doing some research for our interview, I mean, obviously TV spin-offs are nothing new. They can be good, Friday Night Lights, Parenthood, MASH, The Odd Couple, Fargo. They can be bad, Ferris Bueller, Bad Teacher, Uncle Buck, or they can be just plain forgettable, like Serpico, Starman, Private Benjamin, and The Bad News
I
Bears.
remember Private Benjamin. I actually like Private Benjamin.
I didn't know there was a Serpico TV series. Who knew? Starring David Burney, of all people.
Burney? Oh, Meredith Baxter's husband.
Husband. All right, so in taking all that into mind, where will this land? Did you like it?
I liked it, yeah, sure. I mean, but, this is my wheelhouse. I enjoyed it. As I said, I think it's like sci-fi seems to do, series. They find their audience, they, chug along for a couple of years, and then they go away. I think that's kind of what this is. I don't think it's going to be canceled off the bat or anything like that. Okay. I think it's pretty good.
All right. Well, Vicki, that about wraps it up for us. Join us next week, everyone, for another TV chat. And until then, visit NJ.com/entertainment for more Vicki Hyman. Vicki, say goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.